The morning sun cast long shadows across the plains of Lyra 7. Lieutenant Mara Vey stood at the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the distant alien fleet. The ships moved slowly, hovering above the red dust like silent guardians or silent judges. Mara had studied their patterns through the night, noting each adjustment, each cautious sweep across the planet. They had not attacked, but their presence was intimidating. Inside the outpost, the colonists were restless. Children clung to their parents, scientists whispered anxiously, and engineers moved carefully, unsure whether to focus on repairs or defense. Mara knew that fear could spread faster than any alien attack, and if she did not maintain calm, panic would undo all their preparations. She turned to Corporal Yaren, who had regained some composure after the events of the previous day. "We need to understand them," she said. "Observation is our first step. Any move we make must be calculated. We are not fighting blindly. Do you understand?" Yaren nodded. "Yes, Lieutenant, but they don't look like anything we've seen before. What if they are hostile?" Mara's gaze remained on the fleet. "Then we adapt. Humans survive by thinking, learning, and acting. Panic will not help us. We need knowledge first, strategy second, and courage throughout." Her words had the effect she hoped. The colonists began to focus, moving with purpose rather than fear. Engineers checked the energy shields, scientists monitored the fleet, and the guards who remained took up positions at key points. Mara walked among them, giving instructions, encouragement, and reassurance. Hours passed with no attack. The alien fleet remained on the horizon, observing, scanning, and hovering. Then, without warning, a smaller vessel detached from the main fleet and descended toward the outpost. It hovered above the plains, its shape sleek and organic, unlike the rigid metallic lines of the human ships Mara had known. "Lieutenant," Yaren whispered. It's coming closer." Mara's mind raced. She had trained for first contact, but this was different. She had no idea what their intentions were. She made a decision quickly. "Prepare the perimeter, but do not engage. This is reconnaissance, not an attack. Let's see what they want." The smaller ship landed softly, kicking up red dust. A hatch opened and a figure emerged. Mara squinted. It was humanoid in shape, but taller, with smooth, pale skin that seemed almost translucent in the sunlight. Its eyes were large, dark, and intelligent. It carried no visible weapon. Mara stepped forward, signaling to the colonists to stay behind her. "We are unarmed," she said slowly, addressing the being as best she could. "We mean no harm." The alien tilted its head, observing her with curiosity. It made a series of sounds, musical, complex, and unlike any human language. Mara frowned but remained calm. She activated the universal translator, hoping the device could interpret the alien tones. The device hummed, displaying a simple message, observing. Cautious approach. Mara exhaled slowly. "They are observing," she told the colonists. "Not attacking. That's a start. We must remain calm and careful. Any sudden movement could scare them." The alien moved closer, carefully stepping over the debris of the desert plain. It looked around, its large eyes reflecting the twin suns above. Mara noticed a small object at its side, almost like a companion, a smaller creature moving in sync with it. She realized it was curious and gentle. Suddenly, a child from the colonists, no older than 7, ran forward, fascinated by the being. Mara's heart leapt. She rushed toward the child. "Stay back. Do not approach," she shouted. But before she could reach him, the alien's small companion stepped forward, blocking the child gently. Mara froze. Something about the gesture was almost human, protective, caring. Her fear began to ebb, replaced by curiosity and hope. She realized that these beings, though alien, were not necessarily enemies. "Lieutenant," Yaren said softly. "Should we try to communicate?" Mara nodded. "Yes, but carefully. Observe, understand, then act." She turned back to the alien and spoke slowly. "I am Lieutenant Mara Vey. These are humans. We are peaceful. We will not harm you." The alien paused, its large eyes fixed on her. It seemed to study every movement, every expression. Then it extended a long, slender hand, not threatening but tentative. Mara mirrored the gesture cautiously, placing her hand near its. The alien withdrew slightly, then touched her palm with curiosity. A small pulse of energy, warm, soft, traveled through her hand. She felt calm, connected, and strangely understood. The colonists watched in awe, whispering among themselves. The tension that had gripped them for hours seemed to ease, replaced by wonder. Mara realized that this first contact was a delicate balance of caution and trust. For the next several hours, Mara and the alien studied each other. She learned that it could communicate through gestures, energy pulses, and patterns of movement. Slowly, she began to understand its intentions. It was observing, learning, and cautious, much like the humans themselves. The alien seemed especially curious about the small child who had approached earlier. It hovered near the child, almost protective, and the child giggled, reaching out to touch the small companion. Mara's heart swelled. "They are not enemies," she said quietly to herself. "They are curious, maybe even friendly." But the calm did not last. On the horizon, a shadow moved. A small squad of alien drones, unlike the first being, approached the outpost with more urgency. Mara's instincts kicked in. "Back to your positions," she shouted. The colonists scrambled, quickly obeying her commands. The first alien being stepped forward, raising its hand toward the drones. They paused, hovering uncertainly. Mara realized that this alien had influence over them, or at least the ability to communicate commands. It was intelligent, far beyond anything humans had expected. The drones retreated slowly, returning to the main fleet. Mara let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. The first alien being watched her, then gestured toward the outpost as if to say, "We mean no harm. We are not alone." Mara understood. She nodded slowly, careful not to appear threatening. "We are not alone," she whispered, "and we are willing to protect what matters." For the rest of the day, the alien remained nearby, observing and interacting cautiously with the colonists. Mara used this time to teach the humans in the outpost how to work together more efficiently. They reinforced barricades, organized supplies, and maintained the energy shields. She explained her plan. They would observe, learn, and protect, always ready to act but never to provoke. By nightfall, the alien returned to its ship. Mara watched as it ascended gently, joining the main fleet without aggression. She knew this was only the first step in a longer journey. The unknown was out there, but for the first time she felt hope. Humans were not powerless. Even abandoned, they could stand, adapt, and survive. Before sleeping, Mara walked through the outpost one last time. She checked on the colonists, ensuring that everyone felt safe and ready for whatever came next. She stopped by the young child who had approached the alien earlier. "You were very brave today," she said softly. "Curiosity is a gift, but always be careful." The child smiled. The alien wasn't scary. It was nice. Mara nodded. "Exactly. And that is why humans survive. We see danger, but we also see possibility. We act with courage, kindness, and intelligence. That is what makes us strong." As the twin suns set, casting long shadows across the plains, Mara stood at the observation deck once more. The alien fleet shimmered on the horizon, distant but present. She felt a sense of resolve settle over her. The challenges were just beginning, but she and the humans she protected would face them together. Humans had always survived against impossible odds. They had built colonies on barren planets, explored the far reaches of space, and faced dangers no one else could imagine. Mara knew that even if the universe seemed vast and unknowable, humanity had something that no alien technology could replicate: courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to protect what mattered, no matter the cost. And so on Calera 7, under the watchful stars and alien eyes, humanity's story continued, small, fragile, but unyielding. Mara would stay, she had decided, no matter what came. She would protect the outpost, the colonists, and the hope that humanity brought to the galaxy. Even in the face of the unknown, humans had a choice: to run or to stand. Mara had chosen to stand. The next morning on Calera 7, the outpost buzzed with quiet energy. Lieutenant Mara Vey walked among the colonists, checking supplies and reinforcing defenses. The events of the previous day had left everyone cautious but also inspired. Fear still lingered, but now it shared space with curiosity and determination. Mara's thoughts, however, were not on the outpost alone. They were on the alien fleet hovering in the distance and the lone humanoid being that had approached them yesterday. She knew that understanding it could mean the difference between survival and disaster. Humans had always faced the unknown with a mix of courage and intellect, and she was determined to do the same. "Lieutenant," Yaren called from the observation deck. "They're moving closer again." Mara joined him, peering through the thick observation glass. The alien ships moved with purpose, but not with aggression. Then from the center of the fleet, the same humanoid being descended toward the outpost again. Mara's heart quickened. This time she wanted more than observation. She wanted understanding. "Prepare the perimeter," Mara ordered. "But stay calm. We are not attacking and we will not provoke them. Today we learn." The alien landed softly on the red plains. Mara stepped forward, signaling the colonists to stay behind her. This time she carried a small translator device, a tool designed to interpret basic patterns of sound and energy. She activated it, hoping to bridge the communication gap. "I am Lieutenant Mara HFY," she said, voice steady. "We are humans. We wish to understand you." The alien tilted its head, scanning the outpost carefully. It made a series of melodic tones that the translator device captured and displayed as simple words. "Learning. Cautious. Peace." Mara felt a cautious relief. Peace. That was all she needed to hear for now. The alien stepped closer, lowering its head in what seemed like a gesture of respect. Mara extended her hand slowly, careful not to startle it. The being mirrored her movement and touched her palm lightly. A pulse of warmth passed between them. Mara sensed intelligence, curiosity, and a gentle caution. She realized that despite its alien form, this being understood trust. "Can we communicate?" Mara asked softly, mostly to herself. She looked at the colonists, who watched with awe. "We need to understand their intentions. We cannot survive by guessing." The alien responded with another sequence of tones. The translator struggled but began to display the message. "Threat. Coming. Far. Dangerous. Need allies." Mara's eyes widened. She turned to Yaren. "Did you hear that? They're warning us. There's a greater danger coming." Yaren swallowed nervously. "So, they're not attacking us?" "No," Mara said firmly. "They're telling us to prepare. And we will. Humans survive by thinking, learning, and acting. That is exactly what we will do." She called the colonists together in the main hall. "Listen carefully," she said. "We have just received a warning, not a threat from these beings. Something dangerous is approaching. We do not know what it is, but we do know that we must be ready, and we will be ready. Together." The colonists nodded, determination growing in their eyes. Engineers, scientists, and guards began to work in harmony, reinforcing shields, organizing supplies, and preparing emergency protocols. Mara moved among them, her presence steadying their fears and inspiring action. Outside, the alien being lingered near the outpost. Mara watched it closely. It seemed to observe every movement of the humans, as if deciding whether they were capable, trustworthy, or strong enough to face what was coming. She realized that in this moment humanity was being tested, not by force but by potential. Mara decided to take a calculated risk. She approached the alien carefully, accompanied by a small team of colonists who had proven themselves calm and reliable. She extended a gesture of peace, inviting the being to follow them inside. The alien hesitated, then moved gracefully into the outpost. The colonists gasped but did not step back. Mara spoke quietly, explaining to them that the being was not a threat but an intelligence that could help them understand the coming danger. It moved among the colonists, examining their tools, their technology, and their living spaces. Its movements were careful, precise, almost respectful. Mara began a form of dialogue using gestures, simple words, and the translator device. She showed it maps of the outpost and the surrounding planet. She pointed to the distant horizon where the alien fleet hovered. She gestured toward the sky, indicating the possibility of other dangers beyond the stars. The alien responded with a series of tones and gestures, pointing to the horizon and then to symbols in Mara's maps. Slowly, she began to understand. A rogue fleet far from their location was moving toward them. This fleet was hostile, seeking control of planets and colonies, and would not hesitate to destroy anyone in its path. Mara's mind raced. "We are outnumbered, outgunned, and alone," she said quietly to Yaren. "But we are humans. And humans adapt." She quickly began to organize a plan. The alien being could provide information about the rogue fleet's technology, patterns, and weaknesses. Mara could use the outpost's defenses, the colonists' ingenuity, and the environment of Calira 7 to prepare a defense. Together they might stand a chance. Hours passed as Mara and the alien worked in careful cooperation. They developed a communication system that combined human devices with alien signals. The alien demonstrated patterns of movement that could predict enemy behavior. Mara adapted human strategies to integrate these insights, teaching the colonists to move efficiently, repair systems quickly, and respond with precision. During this time, Mara noticed a bond forming between the alien being and the young child who had approached it first. The alien seemed gentle, protective, almost parental in its care. The child laughed and played carefully, learning to gesture and signal in ways the alien could understand. Mara smiled quietly. Even in the face of danger, humanity's empathy and trust had found a bridge. By evening, the outpost was fortified beyond anything Mara had imagined at the start of the week. Shields were reinforced, turrets aligned, and communication networks ready. The colonists had learned to move as a team, adapting to the aliens' guidance and Mara's leadership. She looked at them with pride. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and the unknown, and they had not run. Outside, the alien fleet remained a silent presence, watching. Mara knew they were allies in this moment, but the greater challenge lay ahead. The rogue fleet would not wait. It would come, bringing chaos and destruction. But Mara also knew this. Humans had faced impossible odds before. They had survived ice worlds, deadly storms, and collapsing colonies. And now, with courage, intelligence, and unity, they could face the unknown together. Mara turned to the alien being. "You have shown us the path," she said softly. "We will learn. We will prepare. And we will stand. Humans protect what matters. That is who we are." The alien responded with a gentle series of pulses, almost like a nod of approval. Mara felt a quiet reassurance pass through her. She was not alone. Humanity had allies, even if they were unlike anything she had ever imagined. As night fell, Mara walked to the observation deck once more. The twin suns had set, leaving the red plains in the soft light of distant stars. The alien fleet shimmered on the horizon, distant but watchful. And beyond them, Mara knew the rogue fleet approached, bringing a test that would challenge every human instinct, every ounce of ingenuity and every spark of courage. She clenched her fists, determination burning in her chest. "We are ready," she whispered. "Humans adapt, humans survive, and humans protect what matters." The colonists, watching the stars beside her, felt the same resolve. They were not just a small outpost abandoned by their own guards. They were a team, united by courage and purpose. They were human, and that made them strong. Even in the silence of the night, Mara felt the pulse of life, hope, and determination. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, dangers, and wonders. But she knew one thing for certain. Humanity would not cower. Humanity would rise. And whatever came next, they would face it together, clever, brave, and unyielding. On Calira 7, the story of humans standing tall in the face of the unknown continued. Mara had taken the first step in turning fear into knowledge, chaos into strategy, and uncertainty into preparation. And tomorrow the battle of wit, courage, and survival would begin. But tonight they were ready. And in this readiness, Mara saw the strength that had always defined humans. The courage to face the unknown, the ability to learn, and the unshakable drive to protect what mattered most. The red plains of Calira 7 were quiet at first light, but Mara Vey's mind was anything but. The warnings from the alien being echoed in her thoughts. A rogue fleet was coming, and their intentions were hostile. The peaceful observation of yesterday would not last. Mara had spent hours studying their technology, predicting patterns, and preparing the colonists for the inevitable. Yet the tension in the outpost was palpable. "Lieutenant," Yaren called, his voice tight with concern. "They're coming." Sensors show multiple vessels entering the system. "They're fast. And armed." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Then it begins," she said quietly. She turned to the colonists. "This is not a drill. Everything we practiced is about to be tested. Stay calm, trust your training, trust each other." The alien being from the fleet hovered near the observation deck, its large eyes focused on the horizon. It seemed to sense the coming danger, vibrating softly with energy that Mara felt in her chest. A silent reassurance that they were not completely alone. Outside, the rogue fleet appeared as shadows against the sky, dark and angular. Unlike the observing fleet, these ships moved with aggression, scanning the planet for weaknesses. Mara had little time. Every second counted. "Activate all defenses," she ordered. "Shields at full capacity. Turrets online. Engineers, follow my commands exactly. Every colonist who is able, take a position. We fight together." The colonists sprang into action. Engineers reinforced the energy shields, recalibrating them for maximum protection. Technicians adjusted targeting systems, linking human sensors with data gleaned from the alien ally. Mara moved swiftly, directing operations with precision, her calm presence guiding everyone. The first strike came just as the twin suns reached their highest point. A swarm of enemy drones darted toward the outpost, sleek and deadly. Mara's pulse quickened, but she held her ground. She signaled the turrets to open fire. Bright streaks of energy cut across the red sky, striking the drones before they reached the outpost. "Keep firing." "Do not let them breach the perimeter!" Mara shouted. The colonists, many of whom had never fired a weapon in anger before, moved with focus and coordination. They had learned under Mara's guidance, and now that training was paying off. Each drone that approached was met with precise fire. Some exploded in showers of sparks, while others were diverted by the shields. From the observation deck, Mara saw movement in the distance. The rogue fleet had deployed larger ships, ones designed to overwhelm defenses and crush resistance. She realized the fight would not be simple. Strategy and cunning would matter as much as firepower. Mara made a quick decision. Engineer teams redirect power to the turrets nearest the largest vessels. Use the terrain to our advantage. Rock formations, craters, and canyons. Every obstacle can help us hold them off. Yaren moved beside her. "Lieutenant, we're outnumbered. If they break through..." Mara shook her head firmly. "Then we make them pay for every inch they take. Humans survive by thinking, adapting, and never giving up. That is how we hold this outpost. Focus on your duty. That is how we win." The alien being hovered at the edge of the outpost, pulsing with energy that Mara now recognized as a form of guidance. Its gestures influenced the rogue fleet, subtly disrupting their movements, confusing their attack patterns. Mara realized that the alien was helping without direct confrontation, using intelligence rather than force to protect them. Hours passed in a blur of action. Drones collided with shields, missiles streaked through the sky, and the red plains shook with the energy of battle. Mara moved tirelessly among the colonists, fixing systems, guiding fire, and reinforcing weak points. Every decision mattered. Every second counted. During a brief lull, Mara gathered the colonists. "Listen carefully," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos outside. "We are holding them back, but we cannot let fear take over. Remember what we learned from the alien ally. Study, adapt, communicate. Every action you take can turn the tide." The colonists nodded, determination shining in their eyes. Mara felt a surge of pride. They were not just surviving. They were learning, thinking, and fighting together. Humans had always faced impossible odds, and now, even in this alien war, that same courage burned bright. As the rogue fleet pressed harder, Mara noticed that some ships began to falter. Their movements became erratic, confused by the combined tactics of humans and the alien guidance. Mara seized the moment. She signaled coordinated attacks from multiple turrets, targeting critical weak points in the enemy ships. Bright streaks of energy tore through the enemy vessels, forcing them back. The battle raged into the evening. Smoke and dust swirled across the plains, illuminated by flashes of energy from shields and weapons. Mara's voice remained calm, giving orders with precision, inspiring the colonists to keep fighting even as exhaustion set in. At one point, a small group of colonists was trapped near a collapsed section of the outpost. Mara ran through the chaos, clearing debris and guiding them to safety. "Stay close, follow my lead," she shouted, her presence a steady beacon in the storm of battle. The alien being hovered nearby, its energy pulses protecting them, diverting enemy fire just enough to give Mara and the colonists room to move. The bond between human and alien had become more than understanding. It was cooperation, a partnership that defied language and species. As night fell, the rogue fleet began to retreat. Mara watched as the shadows of the enemy ships disappeared beyond the horizon. Exhaustion weighed heavily on her, but she did not stop. She moved among the colonists, checking for injuries, repairing systems, and ensuring that every shield and turret remained functional. Finally, she allowed herself to breathe. The outpost had survived. Humans had stood against overwhelming odds, not with sheer force, but with intelligence, strategy, and courage. The colonists had proven themselves capable, adaptable, and brave. Mara stood at the observation deck looking at the stars. The alien fleet hovered nearby, silent but vigilant. The humanoid being descended once more, landing near the outpost. Mara approached it cautiously, placing a hand on the smooth surface of its arm. "Thank you." she said softly. "We could not have done this without your guidance. Humans survive not because we are the strongest, but because we are willing to stand, think, and protect what matters." The alien responded with a series of pulses, gentle and affirming. Mara understood. The partnership was recognized. Trust had been built. And in this moment, humanity's strength was not just in weapons or technology. It was in courage, cooperation, and the willingness to face the impossible. The colonists gathered behind Mara, exhausted but unbroken. Engineers, scientists, and guards alike looked at her with respect and admiration. They had faced the shadows together, and they had survived. Mara addressed them, her voice calm but strong. "Today we faced a threat unlike any other. We were outnumbered, outgunned, and abandoned by our own guards. But we stood. We adapted. We protected what matters, and we survived. That is humanity. That is who we are." The colonists cheered quietly, a mix of relief and pride. For the first time in days, laughter and hope returned to the outpost. Mara allowed herself a small smile. They were not just survivors. They were victors, united by courage and intelligence. As the night deepened, Mara prepared for the next steps. The rogue fleet had retreated, but they would return. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. Yet Mara felt confident. Humans had always faced challenges, adapted, and prevailed. With strategy, cooperation, and courage, they could face anything. She walked to the observation deck one last time that night. The twin suns had set, leaving the red plains bathed in the soft light of distant stars. The alien being hovered nearby, silent but present, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, humans could find allies and understanding. Mara took a deep breath, her mind already planning for tomorrow. Shields would need repairs, systems would need recalibration, and the colonists would need rest. But above all, they would need hope and courage, qualities humans had in abundance. The outpost was battered, but it stood. Humans were not alone, but even if they were, they had proven that courage, intelligence, and the will to protect what matters could overcome any odds. Mara knew that the coming battles would test them further. But she also knew that humanity's spirit was unbreakable. And so, under the stars of Calira 7, the story of humans standing against the impossible continued. Mara had led them through fire, through fear, and through chaos. They had faced the shadows, and they had not faltered. The galaxy was vast, the dangers real, and the unknown waiting. But humans had stood, and humans would rise again. Mara looked out at the horizon, her eyes reflecting determination and hope. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "we fight again. And tomorrow we survive. Because humans protect what matters." The red plains of Calira 7 were quiet under the twin suns, but the outpost was alive with activity. Lieutenant Mara Vey moved among the colonists, checking systems, repairing defenses, and ensuring that everyone was accounted for. The rogue fleet had retreated, but the threat had not disappeared entirely. Mara knew that vigilance was the key to survival. "Lieutenant," Yaren called, approaching with a data pad. "The alien fleet has communicated again. They want to meet formally." Mara's heart quickened. The being who had guided them before hovered nearby, its large eyes reflecting sunlight. This was the opportunity to solidify an alliance, to ensure that humans were no longer alone in the galaxy. She nodded firmly. "Prepare the meeting area," she said. "We do this carefully, respectfully, and with the knowledge that humans act with courage and honor." The colonists followed her orders, arranging the central hall of the outpost to be open and neutral, a place where humans and aliens could meet as equals. Mara checked every detail, making sure that communication devices were active, shields were stable, and the environment was safe. When the alien delegates arrived, Mara stepped forward. The humanoid being who had first approached them led the group. Its presence was calm, dignified, and intelligent. Mara took a deep breath and addressed them slowly. "I am Lieutenant Mara Vey," she said, "and these are the colonists of this outpost. You have guided us, warned us, and helped us survive. We wish to understand you fully and work together to protect what matters." The alien responded with a series of pulses, interpreted by the translator device as respect, cooperation, mutual strength. Mara nodded. "We are willing to learn. We are willing to teach. And we are willing to stand together against threats now and in the future." The colonists watched silently, awestruck. For the first time, Humans and aliens were communicating with mutual respect, understanding, and trust. Mara felt a sense of pride and relief. The alliance was more than strategic. It was a bond of shared courage and purpose. The discussion continued, with Mara and the alien delegates sharing knowledge. The aliens revealed information about the rogue fleet, its movements, weaknesses, and strategies. Mara shared human tactics, engineering solutions, and ways they had adapted during the battle. Together, they refined a plan to defend the planet and prepare for future threats. Hours passed, and the alien delegates seemed increasingly impressed by the humans' resourcefulness. Mara noticed that even the most fearful colonists had contributed ideas, strategies, and innovations. Their courage and ingenuity were tangible, and the aliens recognized it. Finally, the meeting concluded with a gesture of unity. The alien being approached Mara, extending a hand in a formal gesture. Mara stepped forward and shook it firmly. A pulse of energy passed through her, warm and reassuring. It was a symbol of trust, cooperation, and recognition. Humans and aliens were now allies. In the following days, the outpost transformed. Mara coordinated joint efforts with the alien fleet. Together, they repaired systems, strengthened defenses, and mapped the surrounding sector to predict enemy movements. Humans worked alongside aliens, learning their methods, sharing techniques, and combining strengths. Mara saw the best of humanity in these moments. Courage, intelligence, compassion, and an unyielding desire to protect what mattered. During a quiet moment, Mara walked across the plains with the young child who had first approached the alien. The child laughed, pointing at the alien ships in the distance. "They're helping us," the child said. Mara smiled. "Yes, and you help them too. Humans protect what matters. That is our strength." The alien being hovered nearby, observing the interaction. Mara understood that it had recognized the child's bravery as a sign of humanity's potential. The smallest acts of courage could shape the outcome of entire battles. As weeks passed, the rogue fleet made no further moves against Calira 7. Mara's preparations, combined with the alien alliance, had created a deterrent that made the planet a stronghold of human resilience. Reports from the sensors indicated that the rogue fleet was regrouping elsewhere, wary of humans who could fight with strategy, unity, and courage. One evening, Mara stood on the observation deck, looking at the twin suns dipping below the horizon. The outpost was alive with quiet activity. Colonists worked alongside alien engineers, repairing equipment, sharing meals, and exchanging knowledge. Mara felt a sense of fulfillment. Humanity had faced abandonment, danger, and the unknown, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and more united. Yaren joined her carrying a small data tablet. "Lieutenant," he said, "the alien delegates say they want humans to join them in exploring other sectors. They see potential in us." Mara's eyes lit up. "Then we go," she said firmly. "We have learned much here, but humanity's place is among the stars. We survive, we adapt, and we protect what matters. And now we will lead too." The alien being hovered beside her, pulsating gently. Mara understood its message: trust, recognition, and hope. Humans had proven themselves not just survivors, but leaders. They had faced fear and abandonment and had risen above it. Over the next weeks, Mara trained the colonists further. They learned advanced alien technologies, studied navigation of distant sectors, and honed their combat and defensive skills. Humans and aliens worked side by side, creating strategies and tools that combined the strengths of both species. Mara saw that the true power of humanity lay not just in physical abilities, but in courage, creativity, and the will to protect life. Then, one morning, a message arrived from the distant colonies. They had heard of the outpost's survival and alliance. Humans across the outer sectors celebrated Mara and the colonists' achievements. Word spread of a small group of humans who had stood firm when abandoned, who had protected life, learned from the unknown, and formed alliances that others had deemed impossible. Mara felt pride but also humility. She knew it was not her alone who had achieved this. It was the colonists, the engineers, the scientists, the young child, and even the alien ally, who had recognized humanity's courage. Together, they had turned fear into strategy, uncertainty into preparation, and survival into victory. As the twin suns rose over Calira 7 one last morning in the story, Mara stood at the observation deck looking at the alien fleet that had become their allies. She thought of the rogue fleet that still lurked in the shadows of the galaxy, and she felt no fear. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and had always risen. Humans protect what matters, she said aloud, softly but firmly. And we will always rise. The alien being hovered near her, almost in acknowledgement. Mara realized that this was more than an alliance. It was a bond of trust, courage, and shared purpose. Humans had not only survived, they had inspired respect, hope, and cooperation across species. The colonists gathered behind her, looking at the horizon with a mixture of pride, relief, and determination. They had survived when abandoned. They had fought when outnumbered. They had learned, adapted, and built connections that would last beyond this planet. Mara turned to them, smiling. We will continue to protect what matters. Not just here, but wherever humans go. Our courage, intelligence, and compassion will guide us. We are humans, and that is enough to face any challenge. The alien being pulsed one final time before ascending to join the fleet. Mara watched it go, feeling a sense of promise. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, mysteries, and wonders, but humanity would not be alone. Humans would rise, protect, and inspire. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over Lyra 7, Mara walked back to the outpost with the colonists. Laughter, chatter, and the quiet hum of machinery filled the air. The planet had become more than a station. It was a symbol of human courage, resilience, and ingenuity. In the vastness of space, humans had proven themselves capable of extraordinary things. They had stood when abandoned, learned from the unknown, and built bridges where none existed. And as they looked to the stars, they knew that the future held infinite possibilities. Because humanity would always rise, always protect, and always lead. Mara paused on the observation deck one final time, looking at the stars beyond the horizon. The galaxy was full of unknowns, but she felt ready. The story of humanity was far from over. On Lyra 7, they had taken the first steps toward a future where courage, intelligence, and unity would define their place among the stars. And Mara smiled, knowing that whatever came next, humans would face it together, unbroken, unyielding, and unafraid. The twin suns of Zetheria cast a soft amber glow across the alien city. Towering crystalline spires shimmered in the light, their surfaces refracting the sky into colors humans had never seen before. The air was thick with the hum of energy, an invisible force that made the city vibrate ever so slightly, like it was alive. Captain Alex Mercer stepped cautiously out of the shuttle, his boots crunching against the smooth, glass-like ground. He scanned the surroundings with trained eyes. This was no ordinary research mission. Something about Zetheria felt different. There was a quiet beauty here, yes, but also a fragile tension that made Alex's instincts sharpen. Beside him, the rest of the human team prepared their equipment. Scientists measured atmospheric readings, engineers checked sensors, and communication specialists attempted to establish contact with the alien inhabitants. But Alex's focus remained on the city. Something told him that danger was closer than anyone expected. "Captain," said Dr. Lyra Reyes, the mission's chief scientist, "the alien energy readings are unusual. It's strong but stable, almost like it's being controlled intentionally." Alex nodded, keeping his gaze forward. "Stay alert. Remember, we are observers first. Any sudden movement could trigger a reaction we're not prepared for." They moved slowly toward the city center. The streets were wide, lined with luminous plants that pulsed softly, giving the area an otherworldly glow. Alien figures moved gracefully between the spires, their tall, slender bodies covered in smooth, silvery skin. Most had elongated limbs, and their large, dark eyes seemed to study the humans just as intently. Alex noticed the guards, tall, armored figures standing at attention around the central plaza. Their presence was meant to reassure, but Alex felt a flicker of unease. Something about the way they shifted uneasily on their feet told him that not all was well. "Remember," Alex whispered to his team, "we are guests here. Do nothing to alarm them." As the humans approached the central plaza, a high-pitched alarm suddenly blared. The ground beneath their feet shook lightly, and the air seemed to vibrate in warning. Alex instinctively grabbed Dr. Reyes's arm, pulling her back. The alien guards began to move, but not in a disciplined formation. Panic was spreading. Some fled, leaving their posts. Others tried to form a defensive line, but it was clear they were unprepared. From the plaza emerged a figure that made Alex stop in his tracks. She was smaller than the guards, delicate in appearance with pale luminescent skin that seemed to glow faintly in the twin sun's light. Her eyes, wide and dark, scanned the plaza, filled with fear. This was Lyra, the young alien leader of the city. Alex realized immediately. She was alone. The mercenaries, or whatever had triggered the alarm, were approaching fast. He could see shadows moving across the edges of the plaza, figures armed with unfamiliar energy weapons. Most of the alien guards abandoned their posts entirely, running toward safety. Alex's mind made a split-second decision. While everyone else hesitated, he stepped forward. "Get behind me," he shouted, his voice calm but firm. Lyra hesitated, her large eyes filled with confusion. Alex extended a hand. "I will protect you. Trust me." Something in his voice reached her, a steadiness she had never felt from her own kind in this moment of terror. She took his hand and together, they sprinted toward the nearest alleyway. Bullets of blue energy streaked past them, sizzling against the crystalline buildings. Sparks flew where they hit the ground. Alex guided Lyra, ducking behind a pillar, then leaping across a small bridge that connected two spires. "Stay low."
"Keep moving!"
Alex shouted, scanning for any path to safety. Lyra stumbled once, her small frame nearly hitting the ground. Alex grabbed her arm instantly, pulling her upright. "I've got you. Don't look back." Despite the chaos, Lyra noticed something remarkable. This human, so ordinary in appearance compared to the aliens around her, moved with a precision and courage that was beyond her comprehension. He didn't panic, didn't freeze, didn't hesitate. Every step he took was calculated to keep them both alive. Finally, they reached a small side street, partly hidden by an overhanging crystalline structure. Alex crouched, pulling Lyra behind cover. She panted heavily, her glowing skin now flecked with dust and tiny scratches. "Are you hurt?" Alex asked, scanning her quickly for injuries. Lyra shook her head. "No, I cannot believe the guards. They left." Alex's jaw tightened. "Some will flee, but courage isn't measured by numbers. Stay close. I won't let anything happen to you." Lyra's fear began to give way to something else. Hope. She had seen leaders in her world who abandoned their people at the first sign of danger. But this human, he stayed, he fought, he protected. Even if he was outnumbered, he did not run. The sounds of battle grew faint as they moved further into the twisting alleyways of the city. The mercenaries were hunting, but Alex's knowledge of human survival tactics made him hard to catch. He led Lyra over narrow bridges, through shadowed passages, and past strange alien flora that seemed to sense their presence. Parting slightly to let them through, finally, they stopped behind a large crystalline obelisk. Alex crouched low, catching his breath, while Lyra leaned against the smooth surface, her large eyes still wide with shock. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, her voice small, almost fragile. Alex considered the question for a moment. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said simply. "Because courage isn't just about fighting, it's about standing when others run. And because some people, are worth protecting no matter what." Lyra's lips parted in a small, incredulous smile. Humans were strange. Their words were simple yet powerful, their actions even more so. As night fell, the twin suns dipping behind the horizon, the city changed. Shadows lengthened, the colors of the spires deepened, and the soft hum of energy became a low, resonant pulse. Alex and Lyra crouched in their hiding place, knowing this was only the beginning. The mercenaries would not give up. The city itself seemed to hold secrets they had yet to discover. Alex checked the small communicator clipped to his belt. "We need to find a safe place for the night," he said. "Somewhere they won't expect us." Lyra nodded, still silent, her trust in this human growing with every passing moment. As they moved quietly through the city, Alex began to understand something important. This wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that courage, intelligence, and loyalty could make a difference, even when every other guard had fled. Humans were underestimated in the galaxy, but perhaps that was their greatest strength. The night deepened, filled with the soft glow of alien lights and the hum of energy flowing through the city. Alex led the way, careful with every step, always alert. Behind him, Lyra followed, small and delicate, but beginning to learn that even the smallest actions could matter when someone was willing to protect those who could not protect themselves. And so, the human and the alien moved together, alone in a city that had abandoned its defenders, bound by necessity and the first flicker of trust. In a world filled with danger, it was clear that courage would have to be their guide. For the first time, Lyra felt a sense of safety, not because of her guards, not because of her people, but because of this human who had chosen to stay when everyone else ran. And Alex knew, deep down, that the challenges ahead would test them both in ways they could not yet imagine. But one thing was certain: as long as he remained, she would survive. And perhaps together they could change the fate of a world.